Hello Fluffies and welcome back. Today we will have a closer look on the diamond prompt wave of summer camp, and this time I'm ahead of the video when it comes to my own content. In 7 days and with the 40 prompts of summer camp, I pushed a new world from 0 to 21,151 words. That's less than I originally have planned, but I overthrew everything in the course of this month, including the planned world. So let's have a look at the last wave of summer camp prompts. A myth or prophecy about the end of the world. I have to say the last wave plays into my own writing preferences, and this prompt is not any exception from this. It makes use of the myth template and deals with dark prophecies, apocalypses, or even a universal nirvana, whatever suits your setting. In my case, it's of course nothing as nice as nirvana. More the hands-on something evil will awaken and devour the galaxy type of prophecy. With prophecies like these, you can easily stay vague and even put in different versions of the prophecy if you like. Maybe there's a way to escape the prophesized end of everything? A material that is resistant to decay. This prompt makes use of the material template and continues with the decay theme. I love it. Of course, you will first think of a metal or a stone in this case. That's pretty normal since most of us are properly socialized through fantasy literature in that regard. Nevertheless, I want to encourage you to think outside of this already paved road. Maybe a species in your world has special bones which would not decay no matter how much time passes. What about a liquid where you can conserve practically everything for all eternity? In my case, I went with a rare gas, which creates a protective film on the surface and doesn't react with the surroundings besides that. When it comes to the approach for this prompt, there are a few questions coming to mind. Of course, what is this material? But also, where do I get it? And at last, what do people do with it? A profession that is considered dirty. The profession template doesn't get enough love. That's why this interesting prompt makes me really happy. Dirty professions will cover, depending on your setting, a lot of potential fields. This starts with a farmer who earns a living on his fields with the produce of food and is recognized as dirty by the so-called upper class. It could also be a miner who spends a lot of his life underground bringing important fuel or ores to the surface. And of course, there are the prostitutes, which are also recognized as dirty by a huge part of most societies. Personally, I went for a dangerous profession from the surroundings of the factories, the ash collector. Their task is to clean the garbage and ashes from the factories and collect any still useful materials from there, often without protective gear. Of course, this causes mutations, which makes the profession very dirty in the 42nd millennium. An organization fighting corruption. More organizations. Of course, this one uses the organization template again. For this prompt, you will have a lot of potential approaches. How about, for example, a special unit of the city guard which tries to put an end to a contraband ring which has corrupted the nobles of the city? Or how about a small rebel troop, maybe which stands up to a Wendigo corrupting their community? Or, within Warhammer 40k, of course, the Inquisition. And of course, I jumped right at the Inquisition and started to describe the organization and their work, but this article is one of those I will return to later on to enhance it after summer camp. This organization also raises the usual questions. Who are these guys? What do they do? What kind of corruption are they actually fighting against? And the most unusual question, are they really the good guys because of this? A tradition that represents moral decay. This prompt uses the tradition or ritual template and gives you the opportunity to really dive into the darker side of your setting. You can find plenty of inspiration by looking at articles online that center around what any older generation said about any younger generation at any given time. Seriously, I'm not even talking about the baby boomers talking about Gen Z or the millennials. Go back 2 millennia and you will find some statement from some older people that morals, manners, and decency are going to the dogs with the younger generation. Another example is, of course, the series The Purge, where morals are actually just thrown out of the window. For my setting, I took this as an example and wrote a tradition in which no laws apply for one night at the summer solstice, which of course results in all kinds of unhinged and unmoral behavior. An animal or plant that feeds on decay. The prompt uses the species template and is actually very familiar territory. Scavengers, insects that spread on corpses, and of course fungi that grow on such corpses definitely belong under this prompt. I chose a fungus that spreads on rotting biomass and on top of it all is highly poisonous and easy to confuse with an edible mushroom. Well, it wouldn't make any difference to me in real life as I am allergic to mushrooms and therefore they are all poisonous to me. Again, there are a few tips I can give you when it comes to this prompt. First, you need to ask yourself what it is that you are actually writing about. Once you've clarified whether it is the roaming or stationary form of decay eater, you can ask yourself what kind of decay this species needs to feed on. For a change, how about an extremely pretty flower that grows wherever the moral decay from the last prompt has spread? After these points, you can work out what it looks like, how exactly it eats the decay, and what it does with it. Perhaps the creature or species also has a special use for your society? A degenerative disease. Here we have the second prompt this year using the condition template, and this time it's about decay during an illness. When it comes to diseases, I am usually always a bit cautious, which is why I'm definitely very grateful for prompts like these. So how do you write something like this? Firstly, I think about what exactly is degenerating during the illness. Is it the body? Is it the mind? Or does the disease affect the metaphysical soul? How long does the degeneration last? Is the illness chronic? Does it eventually end with massive damage? And is this damage healable? Or does it lead to inevitable death? Once you know how it ends, you can work your way back to the beginning. What are the first symptoms? Is the disease contagious? If so, how is it transmitted? How quickly does it progress and how does it manifest itself? For my world, I have chosen a disease from Grandfather Nurgle's plague cauldron, which is curable if you spend enough money and recognize it early enough. Otherwise, it's inevitably deadly as the affected person simply rots alive from the inside out. Nobody said I had to be particularly nice to my fictional dolls in the setting. A piece of tech that prevents decay. Yay, conservation measures! The prompt uses the technology template and allows a wide range of things again. Granted, technology is always a bit easier if you stick with the more modern ages, but let me remind you, we are usually working with fictional settings here. If you want a freezer and you have magic in your setting, then create a freezer working with magic. The prompt does use the technology template, but I can promise that World Anvil won't explode if you write about Magitech or something similar, really. Also, technology doesn't always need a plug. When in doubt, just think about what it would take to stop a particular form of decay. Once you know that, ask yourself how exactly the people in your setting are implementing it with their available resources. Voila, you have a technology that prevents decay. For Warhammer 40k, I had it a bit easier, of course, as the setting already provides me with such a technology, which I just had to work out a little bit. The stasis field. A storyteller, author, or bard in your world. Here we are again with the wildcard prompts, in this case with the person template. And it's an easy one if you've been working on the last prompt wave. Remember that document whose authorship was disputed or anything? That was written by someone, and here is the perfect opportunity to flesh that person out. Did they write anything else? If so, what? What is their reputation in general? What kind of stories does this person write or sing? Where do they live? All in all, a typical character prompt. I took my own advice and fleshed out the Inquisitor who had her publication stolen a bit more. A geographical region that is expanding. This prompt uses the location template and therefore moves farther away from the more metaphysical decay and society. And it is again pleasingly open and versatile. Anything can expand from floodplains to deserts. Just think about what kind of geography can expand in your setting. Maybe you have mountains growing like our forests or deserts. As soon as you've reached this point, you can just go through the geography as normal, just like you did so far. I personally added a nice expanding warp rift to the sector for my inhabitants to please on. When it is big, it can even spit the occasional wave of demons. So that was summer camp for this year. So what's next, both for the year and for this channel? Since I decided at a relatively short notice to play around with Warhammer 40k and annoy people with that, my world only has a standard CSS theme so far. I really want to change that in the coming weeks and months and build something more personalized and suitable for the setting. In the same spirit, I'm going to follow a request from our dear Blue Fairy and do a tutorial on how to apply different color schemes to different areas of your world without getting too far out of hand. In terms of events, the next big event is World Ember in December, which of course I also want to attend with Warhammer 40k as far as I can tell so far. For the tutorials, I would like to have a closer look at the individual templates as a part of the city building series and give an overview about them, so you can look forward to that. By the way, let me know if there is a particular area of world building or a feature of World Anvil that you would like to know more about. And that's it for today. If this video was helpful or entertaining for you, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, and doing all the different stuff that helps my channel grow. Here you can find another English video of mine and the playlist with all my English videos I did so far. Until next time, bye!